Polish up your lip plate, replace the pad on your foot joint, and swab out your embouchure hole.
Because it's time to talk Tull to me.
I'm Omen Sade.
And I'm Nick McGill.
We are Feckless Momes.
And this is Talk Tull to Me,
the podcast where we blast off from the earthy confines of regular life into the upper atmospheres of the discography of prog rock band Jethro Tull.
That is a very apt description, as we are getting somewhat aeronautical, right? Yeah.
We're in
astronautical, I guess. No, astronomical.
I think it's just astronomical. Oh, no. Spacefaring.
Spatial. We're getting spatial.
We're getting spacey, perhaps. We've just fired our afterburners, and we are now in the ionosphere of the third album, Benefit. And we are just about to attempt a landing on the third song.
This is the fifth song.
On the fifth song, this is why I'm not the pilot, of this album.
For Michael Collins, Jeffrey, and me.
Which is the title of the song.
It is the third of our three songs referencing Jeffrey Hammond. And I think we made this joke before, he's the Beetlejuice of bassists, because his name has been said 3 times.
Now he will appear.
He becomes the bassist for the next album.
That's right. Also, this is, Nick, worth noting, the final track on the A side of the original 1970 release.
Very good to know, because it's a good closer.
It's a good closer.
Let's actually take a quick listen. I was going to say quick gander. What's the equivalent of ears? Of a gander for ears.
Schmlander.
Like, just let's take a little schmlander.
Do 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 do.
Watery eyes of the last sighing seconds, blue reflections mute and dim.
The music in this song is beautiful. I love this song.
Yeah, it really has the richness and the complexity and the depth that you want on the end of your A side of an album. It's such a good placement for this song on the album.
Yeah. And
it's such a good song.
Yeah, it's really, the instrumentation and the composition is really beautiful. There's a lot like Sun, in the sense where it goes from peppier and bigger into slower and more mellow, but it's not as drastic a change, and it flows better, I think. Yeah. There's a better liquidity to it.
I feel on a lot of this album, we've talked before about how Tull were touring quite heavily during the year leading up to the recording of this album. Mm-hmm. Their fame had really exploded. They were just working their little butts off, and some of these songs have the feeling of like 12:30, 1 a.m. in the hotel room, just sort of opening up your song journal and going bleh, and that everything's sort of coming out in one plop. And this song really feels like an effort was made, like it was composed.
Yeah. This was worked and reworked, and I think the polish shows.
I agree.
And in terms of the thought behind the lyrics, I feel like it feels very, very. It's more purposeful.
I was going to say intentional. Yeah. It also there's a sense of real poetry with this.
There's a lot of imagery for referencing a real, actual live person and an actual event. There's a lot more that is put into the construction of this song as opposed to just random narrator.
Right.
We're talking about random person. Do you want to... Do you got any more musically? Is that it?
I like how, because, you know, we were talking with the previous song with Sun, it's sort of like rage, 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 a little break from the rage, back into the rage.
Mm.
And it almost feels like a different song.
Oh, and those breaks.
Stuck there in the middle, yeah. Whereas this, I feel like there's such an intentional build-up
Yes.
with the music, so that when it does hit the chorus, there's even sort of that little bridge into the chorus that ramps up the tension even more. So that when you hit the chorus, you feel that sense of liftoff. You feel that sense of propulsion.
That's interesting.
That astronautical drive.
You're saying in that slow breakdown is when you feel the liftoff?
No, when it gets to I'm with you, Lamb.
Oh, there. Okay, yeah.
The chorus.
Yeah.
I'm with you, lamb, though it's a shame that it had to be you. The mother ship is just a blade from your...
That's when it really feels like...
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then we get into that bridge that it feels like you're floating in space.
Totally.
Walking away with you. And the lymph is hungry view.
You know, I found a nice Michael Collins quote from his autobiography.
Yeah.
He was describing one of the... You know, when you're doing space flight, I've read and seen in Star Trek that you have to like fire the engines at various points, and like you do that to get various momentums.
Yeah.
He was describing one of those engine burns, and he said he described it as feeling like a Roman god riding his chariot across the skies.
Yeah. Well, to let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
So Michael Collins, for those of you who don't listen to random podcasts or are interested in any of the history of NASA, Michael Collins is best paired with the names of Buzz Aldrin and... Wait for it. Michael Collins is best paired... I had it and I blanked. I'm gonna start
with a provocative sauce made of a bechamel. Neil Armstrong
and Aldrin. There we go.
No.
So
Nick. So who is Michael Collins most famously paired with?
A fine red. You would know better the names of the people who were in the ship with him, Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong.
Right. And of course, we were talking about the Apollo 11 mission. Happened in 1969 in the summer. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because this album came out in 1970.
Yeah.
So we really have to imagine that Ian Anderson, maybe watched the moon landing.
I imagine so.
Everybody watched the moon landing. He probably watched it like begrudgingly.
But it clearly affected him.
Obviously. Yeah, totally.
And I really don't think that this was something that he wrote months after the fact, like he was trying to come up with something to write about.
Right.
I think this is he felt something seeing that. He felt something thinking about Michael Collins. Or is this really just his attempt at something like Ziggy Stardust? Is this his attempt at space rock? I don't think that's the case.
It doesn't feel that spacey.
No. And maybe that's why he didn't continue with the space rock theme.
I believe that now I could be conflating several astronauts here, which is better than inflating them. But I believe that Michael Collins has been described, by like a newspaper or something as the loneliest man in the world because he had to orbit the moon completely alone
Yep.
while Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong were on the surface.
Right. He had to stay and keep the car warm.
Yes, but in doing so, he went to the other side of the moon, went out of radio contact. So for a while, he was by himself.
He's one of the few humans who has seen the dark side of the moon.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and who has seen it completely alone, completely without another
Yeah.
human being
Yep.
in contact by him of any kind.
So he wouldn't be the loneliest human in the world. He'd be the loneliest human outside of the world.
What? Maybe just the loneliest person.
Extraterrestrial human.
You were the loneliest person in the world in high school. I'm sorry. Sorry to have brought that up. Every other weekend you were at least. So yes, he stayed in the command module while the lunar module, or LM, also called the LEM.
The LEM, Lunar Excursion Module.
Okay.
That's why the lyrics are
That's-
I'm with you, Lem.
That's why it's not I'm with you. Lum. Lum.
It should have been.
Lum. So I do think if anyone was ever like, this person is the loneliest man alive, Ian Anderson was like, I can just imagine.
I can write something about that.
Or I can just imagine, yes, that is, yeah. But I can also imagine Ian Anderson being like, you're the loneliest person alive. What about me?
I feel for you.
I play my flute in front of crowds of thousands. But I am the most lonely. But I feel, joking, staying with us, but also in seriousness, I think that I suspect that he felt kindredshipness with, thank you.
So many words.
With,
Kinship?
kinship, a kindred spirit. He felt a harmonic resonance.
You want to give me a couple more takes? I'll edit out.
He felt a similar soul drifting in the world.
Out of the world.
Out of the world. He vibed with it.
I like that one the best.
He felt something. He felt like Michael Collins in the command module, completely alone, drifting on the dark side of the moon, totally out of contact with the rest of humanity.
He is the Earth's Michael Collins.
Doing something amazing that no one else has ever done or could do. Piloting his flute rocket into the dark unknown.
On the trajectory that was that ride that we just went on, you went way out of there. For the briefest of moments, you were like, I was with you on that one, and then just boom.
Yeah.
You burnt up on Reentry.
Yeah, I sure did. Ooh, it was hot. Scorched my panels.
Lyrically, this song is very beautiful, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think the imagery that he plays with and the perspective that he plays with is very, very nice.
Nick,
Yeah.
are there any lines which jump out at you from this song? Are there any that you're just like, when you hear them, you're just like, oh my gosh, what a phrase?
The ape's curiosity has always been like my favorite kind of just it's we knowing what it's in reference to. It's a very simple set of words, but it evokes so much to me.
The ape's curiosity, money, power, wins, and the yellow soft mountains.
Where do you think that's from? Where do you think that the ape's curiosity? I have my own ideas, but talk me through a little bit about what you think when you hear that phrase.
Well, and I've never seen the full thing, but it's the opening sequence of Space Odyssey.
Released in 1968.
Oh.
So very much in the consciousness of the people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's we're apes. We started as super primitive, using sticks and bones as tools, and now look at us.
Now
look
we're in
at
space.
What literal curiosity has brought us to.
Right, and money, power wins.
Yeah, well, that's also, and I think that it goes from this beautiful, like, look at what the human race has done, instantly to the next line is a bit of commentary.
Well, right, and that's we've sort of tickled the soft underbelly of Ian Anderson's
Tread carefully.
political opinions.
Okay, there we go.
Huh. Whew, backed away from that edge. At various points in this podcast, and I've never really been able to pin him down in terms of having any political perspective.
Yeah.
But he brings up things, and I think this is a good example. As you're saying, that this sort of commentary on the fact that it takes so much money and literal energy to send a human to the moon. There were a lot of people during the 1969 launch and Apollo 11 mission who were saying, are you serious? Like, we're spending all this money sending people to the moon, and there's still poverty and disease, like, in America?
Yeah.
That was a very common perspective.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's a perspective now for any number of things. But yeah, he seems very, based on this and Christmas song, he feels very anti-capitalist to me. Which jives a little with me. And he, like you said, it's certainly not a regular thing. He doesn't use his lyrics and his songs as a vehicle for his political views. But every now and then he'll find this nice little spot to kind of throw something in there. And it's in no way do I find it terribly jarring and pulling me from the song. I think it really accentuates
on the contrary,
it.
it's almost like putting a frame around it or giving you a little reminder of the context of it.
Yeah.
Can I just read this one verse? Because it has a liaison with your monkey theme.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm looking at right now. Go for it.
And the limp face hungry viewers fight to fasten with their eyes, like the man hung from the trapeze whose fall will satisfy, and congratulate each other on their rare and wondrous deed that their begrudged monkey bought.
No, money.
Oh!
The begrudged money bought.
I take back the monkey thing.
It's the next line.
Okay, I have to rethink about it now.
Okay.
And the limp-faced hungry viewers that fight to fasten with their eyes, like the man hung from the trapeze whose fall will satisfy, and congratulate each other on their rare and wondrous deed that their begrudged money bought to sow the monkey's seed.
Yeah.
That their begrudged money bought to sow the monkey seed.
Whoa.
Again, goes back to the money.
And the monkey.
Our taxes paid for this. Yes, it's a triumph. Yes, it's amazing. And yes, we are potentially spreading humankind, or at least we're taking the first steps to spreading mankind.
Yeah. To sow the monkey's seed. Whoa.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty
Very
intense.
Very strong imagery. He could have said any number of things to say that we were starting space exploration.
I mean, he's talking about this is why I was like, oh my goodness, this song. Because I mean, he's talking about one of the most momentous occasions in human history.
Yeah.
We landed on the
absolutely.
frickin' moon.
Yeah. Yeah, to this day, like, ask anyone, and it's up there. I mean, current generations, it's so far removed, and we didn't see any of it, and nothing more has come from it.
Right.
That it's like, meh. But I mean, my parents were alive to see it.
Oh, sure. Mine, remember it to this day.
Yeah.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
We know who Michael Collins is.
Mm-hmm.
We know who me is in this context, Ian Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
How does Jeffrey Hammond fit into this?
That's a great question.
Thank
and
you.
I was going to ask you that.
Oh, I beat you to it.
So now I have to come up with an
Now
answer.
It's a stalemate.
I don't know.
Huh.
I genuinely don't know. So the chorus is from Michael Collins's perspective.
Yes.
Everything else is like omniscient narrator, though.
Okay, question.
Yeah.
I buy that on the face of it, it is from the perspective of Michael Collins. I'm with you, Lem, Lunar Excursion Module.
Yeah. So he's talking to the boys going to the moon.
Right. Now, is it possible that that is also a metaphor? That Ian Anderson feels separated from Jeffrey Hammond who is perhaps metaphorically speaking or spiritually speaking landing on a moon somewhere, and he feels separated from someone who he feels he's on a mission with.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, their history is sort of interesting because they I believe played together before Jethro Tull.
Yes.
And now have been separated.
Right. But they're obviously still friends.
They're obviously still resonant
Yeah.
friends. Resonance.
Presidents.
And I wonder if there's a sense of Ian Anderson being like, oh my God, I'm out here on this crazy tour with my band. I feel like I'm all alone.
Yeah.
I really wish that I had someone else to be in this command module with.
Yeah. Even though he's been with the band for a couple of years.
Sure, but he strikes me as one of these people who doesn't open up emotionally very easily.
Yes. A fact. I believe that's
or
a
maybe
fact.
to only a few select
Sure.
astronauts.
Sure. Jeffrey Hammond, in fact.
Someone with two last names.
Two of the same last name that's hyphenated.
It's like, do you know what the genus and species name for the mountain gorilla is?
Is it gorilla?
It's gorilla.
Yeah.
And there's another one. There's another gorilla, which is gorilla.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
I know there are a couple out there that are like that.
And do you know what gorilla is?
To
It's a children's book.
You know what buffalo is?
No. Is
Is
that a tap routine?
It is the only sentence in the English language that you can repeat the same word over and over, and it imparts a full meaning.
And what is the meaning of that sentence?
Let's see. So it could be the animal, the buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
It could be the verb buffalo, which means to outwit. It could be a buffalo, meaning a buffalo from the city of Buffalo. And it could be buffalo also could be plural. So it's multiple buffalo from buffalo outwit multiple buffalo from buffalo.
Oof.
So it's buffalo.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know about all that.
It's a grammatically correct sentence in American English, often presented as an example of how homonyms and homophones can be used to create complicated linguistic constructs through lexical ambiguity.
I'm a fan of the sharp brown fox slept over the snoozing brown dog. Something like
the quick brown fox leapt over the lazy dog.
Yeah, that's it.
That's not at all what buffalo is, but
returning
I'll give it
to a point that we were making several centuries ago. I do think that the key is maybe in the very last lyric. I'm left behind when I should have been there, walking with you. Jeffrey Hammond. I sort of feel like he is channeling, I'm going out on a spacewalk here, the loneliness and separation that he projected onto Michael Collins,
mm-hmm.
onto his own feelings of missing his friend Jeffrey Hammond.
So I'm going to make a joke and then I'm going to be serious. So thank you
for warning me, which was which?
After the third Michael Collins song,
yeah,
maybe he was like, "Fine, I'll join your band."
Oh my God, I will stop writing these embarrassing songs about me.
Stop
I will
calling me. But also,
no, I don't know. That may not be far off.
Who knows? Ian Anderson seems to be persistent in things that he really wants.
Yeah.
But also, this is
Those cease and desist letters have not stopped coming.
Also, it's the equivalent of me asking you to do a podcast about Jethro Tull.
What?
Full circle.
Oh my God.
There it is. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
I get it now.
Whoa.
I'm with you, Ian. Though it's a shame that it had to be you.
Wow. That's amazing. And here we are. Finally in the command module.
You're playing bass on my album of Aqualung.
Is there anything else that we want to talk about with this song?
I just want to reiterate, like, I think it's really beautiful, both lyrically, imagery wise, and just musically. The musicality is just really pretty in this one. And I forgot that it was the closer for side A. So as soon as you said that, I was like, that makes absolute sense.
I just to like to tease out some of this like incredible poetry that we have here.
Mhm.
And the yellow soft mountains, they grow very still. Witness as intrusion the humanoid thrill.
And the yellow soft mountains grow very still. Witness as intrusion the humanoid thrill.
He's literally writing from the perspective of the moon.
Yeah.
Who's like, what is this?
What's going on?
Hey,
I've never seen this
I got
before.
something in my belly button.
It tickles.
Which is pretty amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just really like it. I think it's a good one to listen to, and just really you're going to come upon a lot of Tull songs that you can kind of just listen to, think it's good, and move on.
Yeah.
This is one.
This is one you can't ignore.
This
You
is
can't
one
just chill.
to really, I guess, dissect, for lack of a better term. You really want to dive into this one, or launch into it, if you will.
What do you think? Yeah, what do you think?
Well,
No,
I'm glad you asked.
I had a brilliant question and I lost it. Oh. Nope.
What do you think the next song is that we're going to talk about?
No, I wanted to I was trying to figure out like do you think that Michael Collins was actually lonely when he was on the dark side of the moon? Do you think that he was like oh my god.
Well, I wonder how long it took.
It was like half an hour, 45 minutes.
That's it? No, I don't think that's long enough to become lonely. I think it's more terrifying and exciting. I think that would usurp any sense of loneliness.
I think he was hella busy, probably.
Yeah. Holding in his poop. I'd be terrified. I'd be absolutely terrified.
I think that I would have been terrified. I think there would be other points when I would be frightened.
Maybe that was his first moment of peace.
Right, he went all that way just to get away from his kids.
His stepkids. They weren't even his own kids.
Oh, as Michael Collins himself put it, I am alone now, truly alone, and absolutely isolated from any known life. I am it. If a count were taken, the score would be 3 billion plus 2 over on the other side of the moon, and 1 plus God knows what on this side. I think that's an interesting. I hadn't thought about that because it's not like, oh, I'm on the other side of the moon and I'll be back in a second. It's like they'd never been on the moon.
Yeah.
They didn't know what was there.
Yeah.
There could have been little green men or
There is a sense of awe, I think, that it.
oh no, wrong one.
The true definition of awesome is the other
To be
side
filled
of
with
the
awe.
to inspire awe. Yeah.
Right. To be told, yeah. To realize your own insignificance and your own finiteness.
Finity? No, I don't know. Finity. I think it would
I
be
wonder
finity.
how many times our podcast has been listened to in space.
Oh gosh, I mean, it's the only one that the space base subscribes to and plays plays on repeat.
It acts as deterrent for any life forms that might be up there.
Oh yeah, oh that's exactly what it is.
They-
I mean, it's at a frequency the astronauts can't hear.
Yeah.
But
they just play it to keep the dog company.
yeah, that's right. They just turn on NPR.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah.
Well,
For Michael Collins, Jeffrey, and me. I think we cracked that one just as well as we cracked Sun, I think.
Will you wait
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you do not have to float on the dark side of the moon for the remainder of the week. You can contact your fellow humans in the form of a 5-star rating on
It's Apple Podcasts now,
Apple
actually, not iTunes.
Podcasts, Spotify, etc., etc.
Yeah, that was a good one.
Spotify?
You're getting better. No, I mean, just in general, the tie-ins.
Oh, thank you.
You're getting better at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for listening. Come on back next week. We're going to start side B.
The B side of the
B
benefit.
side of the benefit.
With-
The B side.
With
To Cry You a Song.
Squew.
It's a rocker. I like that one. So, yeah, come on back next week, and we'll talk to you then. I am Nick McGill.
I'm Omen Sade.
We are Feckless Momes.
Beep boop beep boop beep boop beep boop.
And this is Talk Tull to me.
Who sends vampires into space?
It wasn't a vampire voice. It was like a 1950s.
This is Talk Tull to me.
A proud member of the Feckless Momes audio network.
Ah.